Hi, I'm Naïma. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a crazy few months for my long COVID recovery. It's taken me a while to come to terms with where I am now, which is why I've not been posting as much. This video is about my recent setback, relapse, whatever you want to call it. I think it's important for me to be honest about where I am right now. This video will be split into 3 parts. Firstly, I'll be sharing where I was before this setback. Then I'll be sharing where I am now. And I'll finish by describing my new approach to recovery. For those of you who are new here, I got COVID in March 2020. I seemed to recover until my severe long COVID kicked in October 2020. Even though I couldn't always see it or feel it, between October 2020 and June 2021, I was on an upward trajectory. And that doesn't mean I didn't have bad days where I felt completely hopeless and struggled to get out of bed. But when I looked at things month to month, it was clear. It was almost undeniable. I was improving, making small improvements over time. In February of this year, I was able to go on a 5-day work trip. In June, I was walking 20 minutes every couple of days, doing low intensity exercise and overall testing the waters, tentatively trying new things to see what I could do without worsening my symptoms. It felt like a new chapter. I was nearly back to working full time and I felt much less fatigue overall, and I didn't need to nap every day. I was nowhere near where I was pre-COVID, but I was tentative. And more importantly, I was enjoying life again until this summer. At first, I didn't know what triggered it. I told myself again and again that it was just a setback, a crash or a relapse. And like all of them, after some readjustments, some prolonged rest, it would pass. But a couple of weeks went by, then 1 month, 2 months, and now 3 months. And I've come to terms with the fact that something has set me back quite drastically. I'm fairly sure it was a reinfection. I had all of the symptoms for the latest strand of Omicron, but because it didn't feel like past strains that I'd had in 2020, I didn't go to that thought immediately. I've gone through all of the emotions of grief that I went through when this first happened. But this time it's like I've gone through them in fast forward, because it's like replaying everything I went through over the last 2 years in quick succession in 3 months. I've been here before. First I went through denial, thinking this can't be happening. This isn't my new baseline. Then of course came anger. How could this happen to me again? Bargaining, asking myself, what if I hadn't gone out that time? Or what if I hadn't got reinfected? How could I do this again? What if I'd stayed at home? Depression, that hopelessness, feeling like I'd never get through this. And I was even more distraught than the first time, because I knew what I had to do to improve. Of course, acceptance, living with the knowledge that even though I'm not happy about it, this is where I am now and I need to live differently. The main difference is that this time I have all of the knowledge and tools that I've been collecting over the last 2 years. And that's a pretty big difference in the last 3 months, since all those symptoms came back that I had slowly got rid of over the last 2 years. I have the tools that I need to get out of this in a way that I did not have in 2020. It still makes it very hard to come to terms with, but I think I will get there. I'm now approaching recovery a little differently. I used to see recovery as something that was always ticking along in the background, no matter what actions I took, within reason. I'm now viewing it as something that I need to be deeply engaged with all the time. Day in, day out, when I make decisions about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to live, I find myself asking, will this aid my recovery or not? And how much? From all of the recovery stories that I've been hearing, and there have been so many of them and so many of you have reached out, the one thing that stands out is consistency and restructuring your life in a way that can aid you for recovery. So that's what I'm doing now. I don't believe there is one single cure that will help me recover, but a wide range of approaches, tools and frameworks over a considered period of time. Here are the things that I'm doing right now. First off, medical intervention. In terms of treatment, I have been taking beta blockers for over a year now to regulate my high heart rate and fluctuating blood pressure. I'm also taking a medication that helps with inflammation around the heart and is meant to help finally resolve my chest pains. I've been doing a lot of activities to calm down the autonomic nervous system. As you might know if you've been watching my videos for a while, autonomic dysfunction is a huge cause for a lot of the symptoms that people with long COVID suffer from. I've been doing things like breath work and yoga nidra every single day, and they're really helping to get me out of fight or flight and put me into a calmer state. Diet, I'm mostly doing anti-inflammatory, so no gluten, no sugar, no dairy, no processed foods, and no alcohol. I say mostly because sometimes I just can't help myself and I need something really delicious that is not part of the diet, but mostly I'm doing anti-inflammatory. More rest, so I've been improving my sleep quality, the amount of time that I sleep, and scheduling periods of planned rest throughout the day. Planned rest means no phones, no screens, sitting in a dark room with my eyes closed, even just for 15 minutes, different times throughout my day. Staying hydrated by drinking over 3 litres of water a day, no caffeine, increased salt intake as well. And I've also been lowering my activity levels and pacing, going back to basics. I'm noting everything down, working out what is helping and what isn't. And I'm using this to try and notice patterns. With time and by making these lifestyle changes, I'm hoping I will start to see some improvements over the next few months. It feels a bit like I'm at the bottom of the mountain with my tools, with my kit, ready to get up there. And I know how far I've got to go. I've got a long way to go, that is definite. And I still had a long way to go even when I was making improvements up until June, July time. But I am determined to get there. I'd love to hear from people who've been reinfected and who have had a bit of a setback and have managed to get back to where they were or beyond, and you know what it took to get there. Because I think the more we share, the more this feels a bit less isolating. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.